The founder of Hamas just dry snitched the Palestinian Authority.
المسألة الأولى نحن لا نقبل حل الدولتين.
Khaled Mashal, the founder of Hamas, just threw an enormous amount of shade at the Palestinian Authority. Hamas and the PA have had beef with one another for decades. Seems kind of odd, right? How can they claim to be so different and hate each other so much if they both have the same end goal in mind? To wipe Israel off the map from the river to the sea. Right now, Khaled is speaking to a fellow Palestinian reporter, not a Western media guy. When you listen to people in the Middle East, listen to what they say to their own media and peers. This is coming directly from the horse's mouth.
أكتوبر فتحت أفق لموضوع الرؤية السياسية، وهنا يعودون إلى بضاعتهم القديمة حل الدولتين. وهنا أقول مسألتين في حل الدولتين. المسألة الأولى نحن لا نقبل حل الدولتين. هذا مصطلح مرفوض، لأنه معناه أنك أنت لك دولة موعودة ومطلوب منك أيضا تعترف بالدولة الأخرى اللي هي الكيان الصهيوني، تعترف بشرعيته. فهذه مرفوضة. نحن نطلب تحرر، تخلص من الاحتلال، ونريد استقلالنا ودولتنا. هذا عدوي، أنا غير معني به.
Hamas is not interested in a two-state solution, and they will never stop until they get what they want. Some political leaders say otherwise, for political reasons. But Hamas claims that they are telling the truth and that they stand by it and they act on it. The truth is that they want to kill Israelis, destroy the land, and wipe it out. They have proven that over and over and over. Hamas thinks that they are the real ones, the real bad guys that broke into Israel, entered villages, towns, and cities, mass murdered people, and executed one of the most barbaric and graphic attacks on Israel historically. That's Hamas. The real bad guys that shoot rockets, build tunnels, fly drones, and paraglide to seek terror. That's Hamas. And guess what? Hamas thinks that the Palestinian Authority is a joke.
دولتنا اللي هي أي دولة؟
فلسطينية. إحنا بالنسبة لموقف حماس وموقف الشعب الفلسطيني في أغلبيته العظمى، خاصة بعد 7 أكتوبر، أظن تجدد الحلم والأمل. فلسطين من البحر إلى النهر، من الشمال إلى الجنوب. لماذا الفلسطيني عليه أن يقبل خمس فلسطين ويصبح هذا هو الحل النهائي؟
خمس فلسطين أقصد فيها حدود 67.
هي حدود 67، 21% عمليا خمس فلسطين. فلذلك لا.
This is very crucial to understand because it shows you, one, the mindset of 70% of Palestinians. Hamas's doctrine is being supported by over 70% of Palestinians right now. The doctrine of more October 7ths, more attacks, more slaughter, and more annihilation of the Zionist state. You see the map of Israel on the wall behind him? It's extremely symbolic. They don't want 21%, 1/5. They want it all. They want every square inch of that map. And two, Hamas is dry snitching on the Palestinian Authority. Both groups have the same goal, right? Take the whole country, but they each have different strategies on how to get it done. Hamas chooses war and fighting, and the Palestinian Authority plays a long con game over decades and maybe even a century. Hamas is going to just beat up Israel, and the Palestinian Authority chooses not to be violent, but instead go through the process of weakening Israel through diplomatic means by playing along with whatever it takes to weaken Israel. Khaled is saying that the PA says the right things, but they don't actually mean it. That they think like us, but they're too afraid to say it.
فالآن قاعد تقول لي أبو الوليد إن بعد 7 أكتوبر إحنا حتى حدود 67 مش قابلين فيها، إحنا نبي فلسطين من البحر للنهر.
الصورة أخي عمر على النحو التالي: مشروعنا الفلسطيني اللي عليه شبه إجماع وطني فلسطيني، حتى اللي عنده رأي مضطر أن يقوله بسبب مقتضيات السياسة، لكن الإجماع الفلسطيني أو شبه الإجماع الفلسطيني حقنا في فلسطين لا تراجع عنه، من البحر إلى النهر ومن رأس الناقورة إلى الرشاش أو خليج العقبة. هذا حقنا الفلسطيني.
The Palestinian Authority didn't accept the 1967 borders as a Palestinian state. They accepted it as a stepping stone towards their final goal, to destroy Israel. There are a lot of voices in the Western media saying, look, this whole strategy has failed, led by Bibi Netanyahu. His idea was to make Hamas into a civilian government, and of course they failed. They tried to give Palestinians a better life slowly and let them relax. It all failed, and look at what just happened. Hamas built up an incredible amount of power and has attacked Israel countlessly, over and over and over. So yes, all of that is very true. However, the conclusion in the West right now is that that strategy needs to change. That Palestinians need to be given a state so that this never happens again and that this can all be solved. And if we give them a state, it'll all be over. And Who better to run this state than the Palestinian Authority? It's just a quick fix. At the end of the day, people in America just want this thing to be over. It's causing a huge mess. It's election year in the States, and the whole thing is just a distraction. They want to wrap this thing up real fast. But there are two really big problems with that solution. First, the conflict would never be over if they were to get a Palestinian state from the 1967 borders. This is just a stepping stone and not an acceptable final state. Hamas is just being way more open about it. The West is completely wrong even to say that the Palestinian Authority would accept this solution anyways. Sure, right now, yes, they might not be that violent, and they're trying to build up their force slowly to build a military. But ultimately, it doesn't matter, because they want to destroy Israel. Once they have a much stronger offensive and a stronger military to do so, they want to wipe Israel off the map. The second issue is that by placing this hope on the Palestinian state according to the 1967 borders and giving money, freedom, and military support is essentially inviting the death of Israel. When they say that they are opposed to a two-state solution, Israel understands that this means a death sentence long term. This is not defendable, especially against someone who has declared purposes for killing you. The purposes have not only been written in Hamas's charter, for example, but the world saw their charter come to life 3 months ago. What does this two-state solution even look like? Seriously, we're neighbors right now. What just happened on October 7th? This proposed solution means that Israelis are just gonna sit across from people who kill babies, rape women, behead soldiers, and mass murder civilians. Look, I don't know what the solution is. Really, I don't. But ignoring the fact that this would be the end of Israel and just a short-term solution is not allowed. This proposed solution is like putting a band-aid on a bad wound just to stop the blood, instead of treating the source of the bleeding. Sure, maybe there isn't any blood anymore for the time being, but the person is internally bleeding and might suffer from death in the future. So essentially, this solution would create a few years of quiet, but the end result would be much worse. There is no difference between Hamas and the Palestinian Authority. They have the same goal with different strategies. Hamas will stab you in the heart, and the Palestinian Authority instead will cut you 1,000 times. It's as if Israel needs to ask itself which one they prefer. Look, Hamas and the PA are basically battling over legitimacy in the Palestinian streets, and half of their moves are just PR. Do you know what the Shaheed Fund is? It's a fund which the Palestinian Authority pays money to every single Hamas family member of a terrorist who died in the October 7th attacks. They get money for life. This is their policy. So when the Palestinian Authority pays a dead Hamas terrorist, they are trying to show the Palestinian streets who the real ones are. But the truth is, they hate each other because they are fighting for who gets to run the show. And the credibility in the streets for the stated and the written goal of this war is currently with Hamas.